Email newsletter. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Email newsletter is part of our Axion Mail program, and it is included in your subscription with us. So there isn't anything that you need to do as far as additional costs or anything like that. It is a part of the program. That's one of the great things about using this. So why you might want to use an email newsletter. Really, we talk a lot about referrals, and referrals tend to be about 90% of your new business. At least that's what we hear from most of our partners, is that they get 90% of their new business from referrals. And so how do we get more referrals? So one of the things that we need to do to get more referrals from our customers is to consistently and continuously be in front of our customer. And one of the ways that we can do that is through these emails, through email newsletters, holiday templates, which we'll be talking about at another time, and different things like that. So all of it is about being top of mind, staying in front of your customer. So we can do that with consistent touches. An automated newsletter going out once a month or as frequently as you want is going to do that. It's going to allow you to be in front of and stay in front of those customers. On top of that, what you're going to see when we actually set up a newsletter is we put in the last 4 blog posts from your website automatically. So when a new newsletter goes out to your customer base, it's going to show up the last 4 blog posts on your website as content on that newsletter. And if they click that, that's going to drive traffic back to your website. And of course, we know that traffic helps with Google and all that good stuff. So as the more traffic we can drive back to our website, the better off we are as well. And at the end, this is going to be a very easy to set up, one time that you do it, automated process. And that is really what makes it nice. So if you haven't set this up already, we're going to walk you through it here, and it really is beneficial for you to do it because you just set it up once and it can just run, which is really great. So what's the value for this? What can you do? If you guys are using things like MailChimp or Constant Contact or any of those other programs that are out there, you're probably spending somewhere between $10 and $50 a month on those programs. This is included in your Vertical Action program, so it can replace those email marketing tools. We also include 1,000 contacts in that. Some of these programs, they might offer a few contacts at different levels, and as you go up, it's going to cost more. We do have a way for you to upgrade if you need more than 1,000 contacts, so that is something that you'd reach out to Brian Freestat, the National Accounts Manager, who is on the call with us, and just let him know you need more contacts. But for most people, that 1,000 contacts is going to be enough for you. So, and with that, that brings us to where we are going to show you how to set it up and do all that. And I'm going to hand it over to Brian Freestat. So Brian, let me give you the presentation here.
All right, everyone. I hope everyone's having a lovely Thursday, middle of May here. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about creating a newsletter. I'm going to walk you through it. I put in the chat earlier, some of you might have seen already, mail.actionmail.com. That's where you're going to go and log into your ActionMail account. That's also where, if you have not created an ActionMail account, you can do so at that time. So again, that's mail.actionmail.com, and that's in the chat for you guys for later on, so you guys log in. So once you log in, it's going to kind of bring you to this page. This is your dashboard. This is going to see where you've done previous campaigns, so on and so forth. So, but I'm going to walk you through step 1 and all the way through the end of actually creating your newsletter. So first thing and foremost, you need a contact list, right? So you're going to go to your contact list here, and you're going to go to create a contact list. You're going to give your contact list a name. I'm just going to put webinar for these purposes, a from name, and a from email. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and create. That's going to create the contact list, but there's no contacts in it, right? So first thing I'm going to do is go to add contacts. Hit the as new subscribers I'm adding have given me consent. By law, you have to go ahead and click that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I can either upload via CSV file. I can add in single contacts as I wish. So I'm going to do a CSV file. But first, I guys actually want to show you what you should have as your CSV file. So there's a few things that are very important, okay, besides usually name and email. is when creating the CSV file, you don't want any spaces. So you don't want first space name. You want it all one word, and you don't want capitals. So when creating your list, make sure that you put first name all one word, no capitals. Last name all one word, no capitals. So I just wanted to show you guys how that should look. All right. So now I'm going to go to adding a CSV file. I'm going to go back, find my little CSV file here, click that, and I'm going to hit add. Oops, almost hit the wrong one. I'm going to hit add here. So it imported two and one caused an error. That's why I had a separate line in between the the the, the top of the list there and before I had my first input, which was myself. So two were imported, one that caused an error. Okay, so I'm going to close there. So now I have a contact list. So now I can get started. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to campaigns.
Now, Brian, before we start there, I
Yeah.
just did want to mention, so guys, when you saw the contact list and when he accepted that he was given permission, that is really important. And I wanted to mention it because spam laws, and you guys are probably well aware of this, but you can't just email anybody, right? So you can get in a lot of trouble if you do. So you can't just buy a list and start emailing them newsletters or anything else through this system. They need to be people that are, either your customers or it's okay to email them, and I just or that they've opted in or something of that nature. As I mentioned, you can set up your current customers because you're emailing them on a normal basis anyway. That typically is okay. But what is not okay is just going and buying a list or something like that and doing that. Unfortunately, if you're doing that type of marketing, you're probably going to be having to do postcards and phone calls and that sort of thing until you get somebody to actually opt in and subscribe to a list. So I just want to mention that.
Sounds good. All right, back to the training here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create a campaign. Okay, so you have some different options for campaigns. The ones I'm going to concentrate right now on is regular and reoccurring. Regular campaign is when you send a one-time campaign, one-time email. Now, if you want to do what I'm about to show you and do it on a monthly basis or every 3 weeks, and you want to log in yourself and create it on every month, that's fine. It only takes about 5 minutes to create the newsletter anyways. So you can do that. So then you can pick specific days of the week. I want to do it on a every 3 week basis, whatever the case may be. You would send a regular campaign. But if you want to set it up and kind of set it and forget it in a way, you can do that as well with a reoccurring campaign. And as I'll show you when we get to the scheduling part, you can pick like I want it to go on the 15th of every month. So that's what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of show you through a reoccurring campaign, just to show you at the end there the scheduling part of it. So first things first, we got to give this campaign a name. I'm going to go webinar newsletter. This is just for me. No one else sees this. This goes in, just on that dashboard that you saw earlier. No one else is going to see this campaign name. I'm going to go ahead and select my new contact list that I just created called webinar. And I'm going to go ahead and hit next step down here. Okay, subject line. Well, now this is what people will see. So you want to make sure that you put something that people are going to see, that people are going to want to open. Again, just for this practice here, I'm just going to put webinar. Okay, from name. Now, even though it's going to auto-populate with whoever the from and the email was that I created the contact list, because that's the contact list I selected, I can change this. I can make it to from whoever. I can change the email. Now, this is another important part. We recommend that you do not send an email out from support at, sales at, anything of like type of group email addresses. Those are more likely to get caught in the spam. And we don't want that. We want to hit people's inboxes. We want people to open our emails. So I recommend you sending it from a singular email address, a Brian at, a Frank at, a Caitlin at, things like that. Now, if you want to change the reply to email address, let's say you're sending out the email, the newsletter, and someone replies to that email because they have a question. Well, you can change that to a group email address. So it goes into more of a group email or to a specific person. If Herman sends out an email, he might want all the replies to go back to me to handle. Things like that. So you can change that reply to email address at any time. We don't need to worry about any of these options because they're already going to be inserted into the newsletter templates that we've created. So I'm going to go next step. Now this is where you're going to be able to hit the drop down and select. We have different categories of different templates, holiday templates that we'll have another webinar on here shortly to kind of go through the different holiday templates that we have, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go to newsletter templates, and here you have choices as well. You have what, four different newsletter templates that you can choose if you wish. Some with content, some with just the blog post that I'm going to show you. But I'm going to go ahead and pick newsletter template 2. It's one of my favorite. This is the one I'm going to choose. All right. So now looks like just a plain email. We don't know what's going on here. First thing we need to do is add our logo. I'm going to click on this empty gray box up here. And now I'm on the left-hand side, it says new image. I need to browse for my image. I have it right here. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hit next step. I see the image here. I must click save. Now you can also make it bigger, change it a little bit, but I'm just gonna hit save. There's my logo. Now, as you can see, it says about clients.company_name, and it has some content. Well, I want to change this content. Now, wherever it says clients.company_name, it's going to automatically input the company name that you created your account with. So you don't have to worry about that. But I want to change the content here. I don't know if I want to add something. I want to be a little bit more unique. We just put something here so you guys have an idea of what you can put in there. But I'm just going to show you on the left-hand side here. I'm just going to go test. Oh, I should spell it right? Test, just to show you when I hit save, it's going to populate that content in this box. So this is a free content box that you can do whatever you want with. You can add whatever you want. Now here's where it gets really important. You must click on this link, the latest news. Under latest news, it's going to populate the RSS feed on the left-hand side. Where it says your company, you must change that to your domain name. So if your domain is abc123.com, you're going to replace your company with abc123. For this purposes, I'm going to use a good friend of ours who I believe is on here. Angel, I know you're there somewhere. I'm going to use his website because I'm just going to. So now I'm going to hit save after I've added that in there. Okay. Now you won't see it here yet, but it's going to populate. It'll populate the feed when I go to the next page. So I'm going to go ahead, preview and schedule. And now I have my logo, I have my content, my test that I added, and now I have the last 4 blog posts. Just so you know, this newsletter, when you create it and you send it on the 15th of every month, it's going to automatically include the last 4 blog posts before the date sent. So if you're going to send it on the 15th, it's going to have the blog post from the 14th, the 13th, the 12th, and the 11th. If you send the newsletter on the 10th, it'll automatically pull in from the 9th, 8th, 7th, and 6th. So whenever you send it, it's automatically going to pull in your last 4 blog posts. Now, those might be just our blog posts that we provide to you, but a lot of you partners out there do your own blog post. So if you know your newsletter is going out on the 15th of the month and you want your specific unique blog post that you wrote to be in that newsletter, then you're going to want to post that blog post on the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, or the 14th. So it's in that last group of 4. So just remember that the last group of 4 is always going to be inputted into your newsletter. So I'm looking over this. I like how it looks. I'm going to go hit schedule and send. So now we're at the schedule page. But first, before we schedule, you're going to see this little link here that says send test email. I always recommend when creating any kind of email that you send out, send yourself a test email. Now, once you do it once, you know it's going to be set up, especially during a reoccurring campaign. You won't have to do it again. But the first time that you create it, I always recommend send a test email. I open that. I can send it to myself. I can send a test. It will send me a test of the actual email so I can play with it, click on all the links, check it out, make sure it looks good, make sure I'm happy with it. Now I'm going to go to the real easy part, schedule or send. Now you have a choice. You can send this every week or every month. If you're doing a lot of unique content and you want them to get an email every week, that's fine. You just got to be careful with how many emails you're sending to clients in a month. If you're sending 4 newsletters, you're sending a couple landing page emails, maybe you're doing your own lunch series or own webinar, now you're getting to the 10, 11, 12 emails to a client every month. That might be too much, but that's up to you. So for this purpose, I'm going to do every month. Now I have a choice. I'll pick whatever day I want. I want to start on the 17th and I want to go out at 10 a.m. So now every 17th of every month, this newsletter will go out. I'm going to hit send because it's not going to send anything, obviously, because it's not the 17th yet. But now it's scheduled. Well, if you want to go back and like, you know what, I don't want to go out on the 17th, or, ooh, I made a mistake, that's not a problem. All you have to do is you go back into your webinar newsletter here, and I unschedule it. This will let me go back in and edit the campaign if I wish to. So now it's back into a draft mode. So now here's the schedule part, but up here you're going to see name, contacts, visual content. I can go back here to visual content. It's going to take me right back to that initial page where we were designing our newsletter. So now I can make changes here, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much all it is to it. Like I said, you can pretty much make your own newsletter in about 5 minutes. This will only take about 5 minutes to create on a reoccurring basis. They're going to send for you. And you do it once and you can forget about it. And now you have a constant flow of emails going to your partners, constant touches, constant top of mind, which Frank was kind of explained to at the beginning there.
All right,
So
awesome.
Frank,
So
I'm gonna have you jump back in.
yeah, for sure. So that's basically how to set up a recurring newsletter. You can set that up once and let it go. As Brian showed you, you can do some customizations in there. You can do them one time every month if you want, or if you have a marketing person that you work with and you want to have them do that, they can jump in there and schedule that every month if you want, specific new content. Um, there's also ways, and Brian, I know you're going to show how they could add a block, and you could have like a coupon code or something like that if you wanted. On the left there where it says add sections, you can actually do that. So you saw he just clicked it, that added a section. You could add like an image there and different things. So those all come below the RSS feed though, so just keep that in mind if
And
you
you,
are
you can
creating
move these up or
something.
down. Once you create them, you can move them up or down. There's little arrows here. I can have a picture on the right side, a picture on the left side. I can just do a picture if I want. If you want to add just another picture of your team or something, so it makes it a little bit more unique. So every time you're sending out an email, it has a picture of your team, a picture of your building, whatever you want to do.
The biggest thing, guys, is just to go in there and get one done. Once you set it up, it's just going to happen. It's those touches that you want. Stay in front of your customers, and at the end of the day, that's going to equal more referral business. It's also going to drive more traffic to your website. So when they click on those RSS feed links, it's going to drive it back to your website. So basically, with that, if you have additional questions, and we already have some in here, go ahead and type those into your questions tab. We're going to go ahead and answer those now and hopefully get you guys off here pretty quick. So, all right, let's go through some questions. Yes, this will be recorded. If you have not signed up for our training site, that's where we're going to be adding these webinar recordings. So, Brian, what is the URL for that? And maybe you can drop it into chat as well.
I will. It's training.verticalaction.com, and we'll also be. I think you just mentioned we'll also email it out to everyone as well.
So also, if you go to your chat window there, so Brian will drop that in chat. He also dropped where you would find this Axion Mail program. So you can just copy that link and save that so you have it. And if you haven't created an account for that, you can just create an account for that as well. So that's something you can do. All right, so some questions we have. And let's see here. So customers or prospects or everybody in lists gets the newsletter. So you actually can create multiple lists and you can segregate people by those lists if you want. Hopefully that helps a little bit. So you could have a list that are your existing customers, people who've opted in, things like that, to a list you may have. You can create very specific lists for specific people. So you can have multiple lists, and then you would just create campaigns based around those specific lists. Um, so, basically, those lists are whatever you want to create. So hopefully that answers that question. We had a question, do we have an API integration with this? So um, I don't think at this moment we do, Brian, is that correct?
Correct, we don't. But at the bottom, once you create your Action Mail account, we ask you to let us know, and we'll set up there's a contact form on everyone's on your footer to sign up for your newsletter, and they can go into one contact list. So if you create your Action Mail account, once you create it, you let us know, and that everyone comes with a default list. Now you can rename that or whatever, but once you let us know, someone can sign up right on your website, right for your newsletter.
And I think that went along with, can you sync to ConnectWise contacts? I think that's more of an API thing. So I think you'd have to export your list from ConnectWise and then just import
Yes,
it
and it
into this
and
tool.
it doesn't overwrite. So if you can do it once a month. You can set your calendar to export your list and import it, and it's not going to keep doubling contacts. If it already sees that contact in the contact list, it won't re-add it again. You'll only add new ones. So you could do that on a once a month basis, but there is no integration at this time to do that automatically.
So we had a question, what would it cost for 4,000 contacts? I think those additional contacts, as you need more, just feel free to send an email to Brian. So just Brian at verticalaction.com. And he can get you some pricing on what the next, because I think it goes by specific like amounts, so above the 1,000. So just feel free to shoot him an email and he can get you a quote on that. Let's see here. Does it work
And
with
I just
Zapier?
put I just put my email address in the chat for everyone, or I will be.
And does it work with Zapier? This is pretty much kind of a standalone thing. I'm not sure if there's Zapier integration. And Brian, you may not know that. I'm not 100% sure on
No,
that.
not at this time that I'm aware of. No.
All right. So let's see. Is there a link that people can sign up to the newsletter off of our website?
Yeah,
So
so
Brian,
if you want, yeah, is a sign up link that you can get if you go back into, since you're still showing my screen here, let me get out of here real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into contacts. I'm gonna go into the webinar contact list that we just created, and I'm gonna go to manage emails. So there's a subscription email that you can, and there's a welcome email, and you can send them the emails, and then there's a where to get the link. Let's see, is it here or is it? There is a link. Here you go. So here's the link to you can grab the subscription form, unsubscribe Facebook. So link to the online form, and here's the link. Here's a direct link to the online version of the
so
form to fill
once
out.
you
Because
have that link,
once,
guys, you can just shoot that over to our dev team.
and we can
So
make a
as a
nice
ticket,
button.
yeah, we can create a button for you on your website. So basically, that's once you've kind of created your campaign and then you have that link, just shoot it over to us and we can place that on your website for you wherever you would like it.
And like I
Uh,
mentioned before, we do put sign up for our newsletter on the in the footer there. Once you create your Action Mail account, let us know.
all right, and someone asked if we can show them how to create a blog post. That would be a different thing, guys. Feel free if you again want to reach out to Brian. You're not sure how to log into the back end of your website and actually create a blog post. He can provide some instruction on that very easily. So.
We do have an older video on that. That's still we're going to be doing another webinar on that. Email me and I'll send you the link to that.
All right, so we had someone ask, is there a way to automate the holiday emails once the content has been created? And you know what, that is not something that we have thought about before, but as that question was asked, it seems like that wouldn't be a bad idea if we could somehow like do it through an RSS feed, and when we upload that, it's automated for specific holidays. But we'll have to think about that. Today we can't. We do have a process for you to go in and send those manually once we do have those, and that'll be another webinar, guys, that we'll do in this series. But we didn't want to do a whole bunch of things at once. We really wanted you to kind of get a grasp on each thing and get those set up. So, but we will be talking about holiday emails one of these upcoming webinars. A question was, what DNS record changes are needed to ensure email deliverability?
Okay. So when you received your go live email, you would have received, your A record, your C name, and then there was some text records in there as well. Those text records are important to help with the submission and delivery of emails. If you need to, let me know. I can resend you those DNS record or that link with the DNS records, and it'll have all that information. It has a SPF record and another text record, so just shoot me an email. I'll be glad to send you those that information.
All right, this question is, can you tell how many clients click/open the newsletter?
Well, yes, you can. So I'm just gonna show you this. I sent out the VA webinar series, the Axion mail. Okay, I just sent it out to you. I sent it out different emails. So this one I just sent it out to a list of 1,300. Um, we have multiple lists and everything. So this one went out to hit 1272. It went out to. I had 520 opens. I had 140 clicks on sent. I had one bounce and I had three unsubscribe. Now, if I really want to go into this, and this is something we're going to do it, but I'll do it now. I can go and see who all opened the email. It'll give me everyone the time and all that stuff. I can go into unopened. So who didn't unopen it or who didn't open it, bounces, unsubscribed, all that stuff, who forwarded maybe to someone. So yes, I can see all that information, and that's on any kind of email that you might send out. It will all be all the information will be there on every, whether it's newsletter, an email blast, a holiday email. And Frank, if I remember correctly, I think it's, for a decent email, 20 to 30% somewhere in there open rate is a good open rate. Um,
I
so
mean, that's
yeah.
that's a fantastic open rate. Honestly, if you're sending things out, guys, you're going to see pretty low numbers. I mean, typically it's definitely under 10%, just for something recurring like a newsletter. But again, it only takes once for somebody, or they see it in their inbox, or you really can't go by some of those numbers to rate success, because the reality is this is all about top of mind. And if they're seeing things from you on a consistent basis, they may not open it every time, but they are seeing something from you, and it has valuable information. And that actually kind of rolled into the next question, which was why use an RSS feed? Well, the reason we use an RSS feed is because we want this to be a set it and forget it type solution for you. And by using the RSS feed, it always has new content in the blog post section of your website, because we are providing those blogs for you. If you want to do a newsletter on your own with your own link and that sort of thing, you can do that, as was mentioned earlier. But really, we wanted a way for you to just set this up once and just let it do its thing, and by using an RSS feed, that's what it does. All right, I think that rolls us through all of the questions you guys have. We really appreciate your time today, guys. I hope that you can jump in there and get your newsletters set up. As you could see, it literally could take you about 5 to 10 minutes to set it up, and you would be done literally forever. So um, feel free to jump in there and try to get that set up if you haven't already. If you have, you might go in there and check and see if you want to do any additional customizations or that sort of thing. Otherwise, that is the end for us. If you need anything, of course, reach out to our dev team, and Brian is always available, and myself I'm always available as well. So thank you again for coming on today, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.